Laddie's Garage for episode 7 of the Turbo Tonner build. Hopefully lucky number 7, because this episode we're going to put that engine in to the ute and we're going to fire it up. Aspirated, no turbo system on there, just to make sure everything's alright. Let's have a look. As you saw in the last episode, we put the clutch on, it's all ready to go, gearbox is on. All I've done is jacked up the car on the jack stands. Got a trolley jack with the block ready to take the back of the gearbox. I'll slide it in. I also put the V8 heater hoses in. It's a lot easier to do it now rather than when the engine's in. That is a part that you will need for the conversion. The V6 ones don't work, they're not the same. But in saying that, any 3rd gen Ls1 V8 Commodore heated pipes will do, they're all the same. So yeah, heater hoses are in, and I'm going to get this thing lifted up on this crane, get ready to slide it in. One tip I definitely have is angle. Put your hook nice forward so you've got plenty of angle. The more angle you've got, the easier it'll shoehorn in there. You can see it's pretty high. It's not clearing that cross member. Get up in there and lift it over. Stand on your engine mount plate and that stuff up your paint. And just lift it up over, drag it in. It's impossible to do this whole process by yourself. On its way in. It did take a little bit to get it to here. Just poking the gearbox down, sort of lifting up on the front, poking the gearbox down, moving it forward, letting it back down a little bit. You know, a lot of steps, takes a while, but you'll get it on clear of the cross member here. Haven't even tapped it once, I've been pretty good. It's on its way down the tunnel. So same again. Down a little bit, in, down a little bit, in, next thing you know it'll be in. At this stage you're well on your way getting it in. Just got to be careful of clearance here, just go gentle, it's just so important, just stay patient and just go gently. You don't bust anything up. You'll see down the bottom there, if you can see, back of the sump is now about to start interfering with the steering rack. That's fine. There's no dramas, that's why we've already got that jack under there. You can see that got the jack under there. I'll jack that up and you've got room above the transmission there. You've got heaps of room in there. Start bringing the back of the transmission up, and that'll bring the back of the sump up, and just get it in that last little bit. Probably doesn't look a whole lot different, but it's just about in. I've gotten up and down off the ground under there probably 2 or 3 times. Just jack up a little bit, move it forward, jack up a little bit, well I should say move it back in. And now it's to the stage where I've got the top of the shifter in the tunnel, in the hole, where it's supposed to be. Let's look at that. Top of that shifter there's in that hole. Once that's in there, you're home free. Jack's still under there. You can just see, roll it backwards and forwards. I'm at the stage where, in under here you can see, bottom of that engine mount, I've actually landed that in the hole. The motor's on a slight angle so I can do one side at a time. That one's already in, it's ready to slide down. This one here, I just have to lower it down, push that stud into the hole, and lower it in. She's just about in. Engine is in. Got it in, 2 18mm bolts up from the bottom, through the bottom of the K-frame, either side, go up into the bottom of the engine mounts in there. You can see them through there. Deep socket helps, definitely, because the threads hang through the nuts a fair way. Then you got your two 17mm bolt either side for your cross member. Zoom in on that. These ones there. Them two 17s either side. And you got two 10s for the gearbox mount there. And it's holding it up. It's all in there. Jack. The engine crane's gone. Jack's obviously gone on the gearbox it's in. I've already put the gearbox loom, or the wiring harness for the gearbox down there. And yeah, now I'm just gonna start hooking everything else up. I've already done the heater hoses. I've got a bit of wiring to sort out here. Drill a stud in there so I can mount the battery. I've already pushed the loom through the firewall for the ECU inside. So yeah, got an exhaust. I've got to put the exhaust manifolds on so I can start it. So now just slowly start ticking away at the little jobs. Okay, a bit of an update. Got all the battery wiring sorted. Soldered, shrink wrapped the plug-in for the starter, the brown and the purple. Removed the post down here in behind the battery. When the battery goes in you won't be able to see it. It'll keep the inside in that guard there nice and freed up. Put the high pressure line on the steering rack. It's in. Just working my way up. Got the brake booster vacuum line in. Also at the back there's bloody vacuum line for the heater inside, has to be put in. Also in the back there my oil pressure sender for the gauges in there, and I want to read oil pressure before I start it, so I had to prep up some wire and get that in. That's just roughly ran for the time being. It'll go through that grommet over there. I've still got a vacuum line to put in for my boost gauge as well. Working my way up. I also mounted the fuel regulator on those two studs. I had to make a bracket for it, so it was a bit of cutting a bit of steel, drill it, weld it, bolt it on. So now I'm going to run my new fuel lines over to here and into the rail. I've just got barb fittings on that reg, just so I can use the factory fittings over on the fuel lines. I just salvaged all the standard fittings, the fittings off the V6 car for the firewall, where they come out of the firewall. This is for the fuel tank evap, also for the solenoid on the engine, and this is the V8 3/8 feed to the fuel line. So it's just going to push onto there and clamp everything on. Pretty budget. Like I say, it's no show car. So all those lines there are 5/16. The barb for the evap's 5/16, so I can run 5/16 line for that. Then on the fuel reg in, 5/16 barb, return underneath 5/16, and then feed to the rail. Stepped it up to 3/8. So they will match 3/8 line from the feed here to the outlet of the reg, 5/16 over. Pretty simple. So I'm going to make them up now. I've finished all under here now, so when all the lines go through I don't have to go back in there. Just trying to do it efficiently, work my way out. Make them fuel lines, and possibly, well, I will put that exhaust manifold on this side, and dipstick, maybe throw the battery in there because I've got to get inside the cab and sort out the wiring for the gauges. Update time. Fuel lines are in. It's probably not the most pretty, but it does the job. It's clamped on the hoses. Those couple of bolts that you can see there, for focus. Those couple of bolts, I've put these, a couple of larger ones of these with a couple of these on there on them bolts. Ran one hose through there, and that holds the hoses back, and then zip tied the other two Till it was the return hose is the one I P-clamped. You see, runs down into the reg. 3/8 line comes back into the feed. You can see where the evap goes onto the evap solenoid. So it's all hooked up. I've purged it. That's after it's returned back a little bit. It's got a bit of fuel pressure still sitting there. Had to get a battery put in there for the time being. I've got the driver side exhaust manifold on. I've got the dipstick in. Also got the plug leads on and the heat socks for this side, because this side I probably won't have to touch. It's going to be ready. That's actually used in the turbo kit, that right hand side manifold. Yeah, plug leads are on. I just threw another standard manifold on this side so I can start it up aspirated. Threw the leads on without the socks because obviously the turbo manifold and stuff's going to go on there. Also threw plugs in, spark plugs. I'm just going straight for the boosted ones, using the BR7 EFS, and I'll gap them down to 26 thou. It shouldn't blow out from what I've read. So yeah, it's starting to come together, getting ready for start up. Ready to throw some oil and a filter in it. I'll jack up when I do the tail shaft and put that shifter inside. I've got to get underneath it anyway to do that sort of stuff, so while I'm up there I'll throw an oil filter in it, make sure the sump plug's done. Also, when I was inside I wired my gauges so that I can check oil pressure before I finally start it. I'll just crank it and check oil pressure, make sure it's got oil pressure, then start it. And how I wired it was I actually got hold of the cigarette lighter plug, and I noticed that it had 2 extra wires going in there. In the other side of the plug there's nothing, so they were sitting in there doing nothing. Test the light and I found out one was interior illumination, so the lights come on when you turn the headlights on, and the other one was ignition power. So that was simple, that's what I need for my gauges. Couple of wires in there, ran it up in behind the dash up there, up into behind the pod, pretty simple. Also ran an earth off the factory earth here, another earth for everything, and then the vacuum hose and the 2 wires for the oil pressure sensor. I haven't ran the vacuum hose yet. When I put the ECU in over there, while I'm ginning around up in the corner there, I'll poke that vacuum hose through and get that sorted, but the 2 wires go up in there too, under there, for the oil pressure. They're all wired in, ready to go. But yeah, like cheap gauges, don't get me wrong, they weren't expensive, but yeah, they seem to do the job. Just oil pressure and boost. So I've got them on green. Green with red needle sort of matches standard, I think. You can jit around with it and go all bloody import if you want, but I'll just make it line up with the green. Easy. Alright. You can see that I don't have the shifter in. There's the yoke for the back of the gearbox. I haven't got the tail shaft in. ECU's not mounted. So that's what I'm going to get stuck into now. Putting this shifter in, I just thought I'd show you the configuration for you manual converting legends. Okay, 2 bolts. Bottom one first, there won't be enough room to get the spanner on the other side here if you do the top one at the same time. So bottom one first, then the second one. Then you slide the black boot on for the top of the gearbox, seals around the gearbox there. Then your white boot. Then you'll have your factory ring that locates into the factory 4 holes. You see the 2 in the back here? There you got the nuts from the bottom. Use the same nuts as what come off the automatic shifter. If you've seen that video, you know how to get that out. And then this will just clip into the factory center console. Tip for all you guys swapping from V6 to V8 or even swapping gearboxes, when it comes to the tail shaft, from this center joint here to the back is what will suit your car. So V6 or V8, that will be the same, and then from that joint forward will suit whatever gearbox. So if you got a V6 auto, that'll be to suit that, or a V6 V8, that'll be slightly different, it'll suit that, and then manual the same, that bit will be different. You can mate any two together, so quite easy to make the drive shaft that you need. Preferably after you join them, get them rebalanced or whatever, but yeah, just so you can get the right length, that's what you need to know. Back under the car, this is the bottom of the gearbox, so you know where we are, and you can see the gearbox clutch line and the mount that goes to the side of that brace, and the hard line that goes up to the master cylinder for the clutch. So that's all buttoned up now. I have thrown an oil filter pre-filled with oil up in there, getting ready to start it. Moving back, got the donut bolted on to the front of the tail shaft. Also above that, it will focus. You can see the bolts for the bottom of the shifter. You can see that nice new white bolt, nice new white boot sealing that gear stick up nicely. There's nothing getting up in the cab, which is what I like. It's worth it. Centre bearing bolts, 13mm. These things here are 19 and 18. And working your way back to that, to the diff yoke. It's a bit strange looking. Hopefully that won't zoom in. Zoom. There you go. See that special fitting there for those bolts? They're not Allen key. Torx 50 or T50 it is. Must have. Don't try and use anything else, you just bust them up. If you're going to be working on 3rd gen Commodores, all those tail shaft and diff yoke setups, they're all these T50s. So yeah, get yourself one of them, you'll be sweet. For you guys out there that are swapping the V8 into the V6 body, these are a must-have item, and they must match and come out of one V8 vehicle the same model as yours to make your job easy. Powertrain interface module, body control module, little ring that goes around the key, and the key head. The key part itself you can change out to suit your locks, but the actual key head, that sends a signal to the ring, which sends a signal to this, which sends a signal to this, which makes it all work, and it all matches up. If you want it seamless, make sure you get all them matching out of a V8 car the same as what your V6 car is, and you'll have no problems. Just about to finish buttoning up the interior, so I'll show you quickly where these go, and yeah, I'll catch up with you on this one. Your body control module lives above your accelerator pedal. You can see that grey box there. There's 4 plugs across the bottom you undo. There's one of them speed clips just in the right hand corner there, you see it. That's all that holds it in. You undo the plugs, undo that, pull it down, she'll come straight out, swap out your V8 one. As for the ring, it's just held in by this rubber big grommet thing, and there's 2 plugs in the back of it. That one there, and then the other one's just a light bulb. Very simple to change out. Then when it comes to your key, 2 screws, the steel part, the shaft will come out. You get your old key, or the key to suit your car, the shaft bit, put it in the head that suits the ring and the body control module, screw it back in, job done. Down in the left hand side kick panel, just showing you where I mount the powertrain interface module. Got a zip tie up nice and high, out of the way. Pretty easy stuff. And then the ECU, one big zip tie. There's this nice foam underlay that comes factory in behind there, which is sandwiched between, so it's got a bit of a soft bed to sit on, and just big thick zip tied home. it's solid. Now I can finish putting all this interior back together. I've finished putting all the interior back together. All the kick panels are in, center console, all finished up. Shouldn't have to come back in here now. I also thought I'd show you real quick one of the last important steps, and that's to turn VATs off in your ECU so you can start it with no dramas. Now you open up the HP tuners, the editor part of the tuners, hook it up to your car, read it, like read entire, then you can save it. And once you're saved, you can go into the system part of the program here. So it'll focus, I don't know if you can see that. Then in system general, you'll see it'll say security VATs control, and that has to be on none. Normally it's on serial, so it has to be on none. Once that's on none, save it to your car, you choose a file name, then rewrite, which is this one, and then rewrite it to your car, and then you should be getting closer to get ready to start. Pretty simple. Some other things I've got done in the engine bay. I hooked up my boost gauge. I put a T in the line that goes inside for the heater box, which is hooked to the manifold, so you get vacuum. I put it before the one-way valve. T'd it there, went across, over, put another T in for the fuel reg for boost reference, then it goes inside into the gauge. Now you can also see that I've put the air conditioning lines in. They're all in. Also I have thrown, or screwed the power steering oil cooler in there. And I have filled it with oil. The oil I like to use is the HBR15 Penrite, 6 litres for an LS, nice and full, and a bit of auto transmission fluid for the power steering. And yeah, I could put the radiator in. I do have the radiator and I have the hoses, but I do not have my air conditioning condenser yet, and it goes on the front of the radiator, so I don't want to do things twice. I'm going to leave that out until that arrives. I think it arrives tomorrow. But yeah, I'm happy to start it up with no water. Let's give it a short start up. First thing, I'll undo all the injector plugs, and then turn it over, see if we've got oil pressure, and then give this thing a fire up. Okay, got you set up. All the injectors are all unplugged, so there's no fuel going into the engine. I'm going to turn it over and build some oil pressure, plug the injectors in, and then fire it up. It took a few turns, but yeah, we got it up to about 30 psi. Held it there for a bit. That battery sounded a little bit sad. Hopefully it starts it up. Plug these back in and give it a fire. Fingers crossed. She's loud. Neighbours possibly hated that. Straight out the headers, but yeah, all good. Got good oil pressure. Yeah, come along nicely. Alright, that'll probably do. Well, that will do for this video. It's probably super long. Got a fair bit done. You know, it's running up there, no worries. Good oil pressure. We've got no radiator, no exhaust. I'm not going to run it for too long. Hopefully there was some informative stuff in this video for you. If you liked the video, press the thumbs up for a like. If you want to see me finish this build, we're going to put the turbo kit on next. Make sure you hit subscribe and hit the little bell so you get notified when I bring my next video out. If you got any questions, feel free to put it in the comments. Tell us what you think. Yeah, turbo kit next.